For many individuals, reincarnation has become something more than just a simple philosophical belief. It's a practical tool for gaining insight into the past and creating positive change in the present. Some therapists are beginning to use reincarnation as a perspective, often with hypnotic regression as a tool.
When I do a past life regression, the state of consciousness that I am hoping for is called the hypnagogical state, and that just means that it's a state similar to waking up or falling asleep. When we use this technique or this tool called past life regression, it's a change agent tool, because what happens is once your mind has in it some conscious information about you and, let's say, another person in another time, you review your present situation in a different light. Your perspective changes.
Every relationship is different, and everyone finds different ways of using the principle of reincarnation to help understand relationships. Reincarnation helps us see that relationships aren't random or haphazard. Things between people happen for a reason.
Not only do we meet people for a reason, but that almost everything that happens to us in our lives has a purpose.
Cayce suggests that whenever we have an emotional response to another human being, there's something for us to learn. And that something is really tied up in a universal law he suggested goes, like attracts like. We draw to a specific people for a reason, and that reason is to learn something about ourselves. Now, we don't mind hearing that when it's someone we like, someone we love and admire, but how can that be true of someone that we're having a problem with? And that's how is really like this. The people in our lives are there to challenge and prod us to become a better person. So let's say, for example, I've spoken to a lot of people who perhaps tell me that they grew up in a household where their father was very controlling. And then they got married, and maybe their spouse is controlling and overbearing, always criticizing them. They have children, and their children treat them the same way. And eventually maybe they go to work and have a job, and their boss treats them critically and controlling as well. And the person may say to me, you know, I guess maybe it's my karma. But with the like attracts like phenomena, what may be happening is that this person is constantly drawing to themselves people who think as low as them as they do. So what we need to keep in mind is sometimes people are brought into our lives so we can change ourselves. And ultimately, from Cayce's perspective, the only person we can change in a relationship is ourselves.
Couples are drawn together for, obviously, a lot of different reasons, and a lot of them are related to factors that happened in this life.
Edgar Cayce would suggest there are at least 4 points at the heart of all of our relationships. The first point is that all of our relationships have the possibility, the potential, to be a helpful and a hopeful experience if we choose to make it so. If we decide to learn what we need to learn in this situation. What is this person trying to help me learn? The second point is that all of our relationships are repeated until they're healed. We will continually draw to us the same people, the same types of experiences, the same types of challenges until we've learned from them and transformed them. The third is that as souls seeking wholeness, eventually we need to learn to love and understand every single soul with whom we come in contact. And the fourth is that we learn most about ourselves through our interactions with others.
It seems obvious that reincarnation is much more than a belief system. It can be a practical way of dealing with people and events in our daily lives. John, how could our viewers work with reincarnation?
Well, first, just be open to the possibility and then see how it would apply in your life. Second, I would say be aware of the possibility that there are latent talents, latent potential within you and others to change or improve or to touch on a talent that hasn't yet been manifest or they haven't been educated in, but it could come to the surface. And then third, realize that even though there's the idea of karma and destiny, there's free will all the time. Karma and destiny are the result of previous use of free will. in this life, the situations you face, you still have will, and you can actually improve the outcome this time by a choice.
That's such an empowering notion, that we aren't predetermined, that karma doesn't mean that we're fated to do this or that, but that we're really shaping our lives right now.
That's true. That's true. If you just would take will and engage yourself in a difficult situation or an opportunity and make a choice, you gain by making that choice. And in some way you may affect a much better outcome than it has been in the past.
So no doubt it's big decisions and those little ones every day as well.
It's the little ones more than the big ones usually. Each day, each attitude, each reaction, each word or sentence, those little situations that get at you. The backstabbing, the spitefulness, the word you wished you hadn't spoken, those are the important things to work with.
What if you're in a really bad relationship and you have the feeling it must be linked to things from the distant past? What can you do?
This is a difficult one. Usually you can't approach it head on, so you need to use the power of prayer. Since you can't address the issue easily, directly, go into your quiet place. Pray about it. Pray for the other person. Pray for yourself. Pray for forgiveness for all the dynamics involved. Mm-hmm. Then usually a pattern has happened, and this pattern recurs. You keep repeating the same pattern, so you need to stop trying the same things and create a new action plan. Whatever it is, try out something different with this person and this situation. Also, you need to be aware that it may possibly be a purposeful test to help your soul grow, very similar to the idea in Job, in which the Lord makes a deal with Satan to test Job, to see if Job's heart really is on the Lord's side or just on Job's interest, his own selfish interest. Sometimes in a dynamic situation where it's stressful, the goal is to kind of break out of self-interest and see what would be helpful to the whole here. And then finally, you have no choice but be patient. Things that have taken centuries will take some time to heal. Just have to be patient.
I bet a lot of people would find that last one the hardest one to do.
Yeah, probably.
We kind of live in a culture of instinitis where we want to be able to take a pill or do something quick to heal a problem.
If it's not working, divorce it, get rid of it, go on, rather than try to engage it and work through it.
In today's society, I think we too easily want to get rid of a relationship if it's not easy or something that we find happy or comfortable. Cayce would say that we need to keep working on our relationships until we've transformed them. Now, very often someone will ask, well, didn't Edgar Cayce recommend a divorce sometimes? And the answer, he only recommended divorce on 3 different occasions, when 3 different things were happening. If someone's in a relationship where it's abusive and they're in harm physically or emotionally, then sometimes divorce was recommended. Cayce would not want anyone to stay in a relationship where they were in danger. The second is that sometimes someone in the relationship, one of the people, has actually learned the lesson, and they can move on without any problem. And the third is sometimes both people have learned the lesson and they can move on. But it's important to remember that if we ever think back on one of our relationships and we think about all the things that happened and we can picture that person, and if we think of them and have an emotional response to it, a negative emotional response, there has not been a healing. And until there's been a healing, we're going to have to come back and face this person or this issue again and again and again until it's transformed. So we don't want to end our relationships too quickly until we've tried all we can do to help transform them. On the other hand, we don't want to stay in a relationship in which we're incapable of changing or the other person's incapable of changing. But we need to keep in mind that eventually every one of our relationships has to be transformed and healed.